And we're live.
And we're live. Hello, everybody. Good morning, afternoon, evening. So today, happy Monday, we are going to be talking about something that is close to us both right now with our circumstances in life, just what's been going on in the last couple of weeks for us personally. And that is how to get through the eye of a needle, or in other words, how to push on when things aren't smooth. You know, when you've hit a rocky road or circumstances in life just keep throwing things at you where, you get that feeling where you don't want to get out of bed or you don't want to do anything. You get that feeling of defeat because you keep getting things thrown at you and you just don't see the end of it. So as Kat puts it, how to get through the eye of a needle, where you just kind of have to fit through this impossible thing and just keep moving forward. So, Kat, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. I'll start. Sorry, I'm hot off the press because I just did a Facebook Live on this. Yeah, and it was like, when you do get this sort of news.
Je vais avoir besoin d'aide avec le riz, sinon je vais juste vous le donner.
Donne-lui tout. Sorry, I'm live right now.
D'accord.
Sorry, tending to logistics from home.
This is life.
Yes. So when you have these sort of things happen, you just have to carry on as if nothing's happening. But anyway, completely thrown now. Yeah. So when you have things happen to you and these are legitimate things. We're not talking about, oh, no one looked at my blog post or, not these sort of, real life issues that have consequences on the whole of your life and are quite major. So, you can either sort of say, oh, well, I'll tend to this problem, right? And I'll just, I can't get up because I'm, concentrating on this problem, or I've got this, or I've got, it's just slowly taking over your whole head and you just can't breathe or can't do anything about it anymore. And invariably, because, well, I can only speak for myself, obviously, because I can't, speak for anyone else. But I think I've got to such a state where, I say the old things I used to say to myself, and I can't even listen to my own self in my own head. It's getting really, it's like, oh, shut up, just be quiet. So then you're like, well, what do I do? Because you still have the same feelings, even though you can't verbalize them. So what tends to happen to me is that, I will, I'll just carry on the motions, but the head won't be there. And because I've got to keep talking to myself all the time, I'll just go down another avenue or find a new problem or find a new this or find a new angle to sort of criticize myself or do something about it. And invariably the universe will be nice to me and it'll make me fall down. Now, literally, the other day I just fell flat on my face, quite painful, whatever. But that makes you stop dead in your tracks. I mean, you just, you've fallen flat on your face. You then got to pick yourself up, get yourself, whatever. So normally what I would do is I'd just continue, my yoga, my meditation and all this routine in the mornings and everything. But because I fell and I was in a sort of different headspace, I thought, well, hold on, let's take stock here. What is going on? Am I pushing forward so much so fast that I'm, falling over myself? Am I, going down the wrong road? What is the message already? You've got to sort of try and listen and observe. So that is the first thing that I would really recommend you do, like whenever anything happens that's really out of the ordinary, just take a step back. It doesn't matter. Like, today I just was so, no one could say anything to me that I just thought, right, I'm just going to take a step back. It doesn't matter if I don't work today because whatever work I would do is going to be totally unproductive. So it's best to just say that, right, I'm going to stop, do whatever it is I'm going to be doing and try and analyze the situation. Now, how you can do that is, whether it is, for me, for example, I went for a walk in the park and I haven't been able to go in the park because they're getting a bit iffy because the dog's not on the lead, okay? So when you get too much, I just send them back away, go to another park, which isn't quite as big, but, and hopefully they'll forget about me and I can come back when it's all rainy and horrible and, no one will be out. So I've been keeping away from the park, which is very detrimental for me because I need the big park. I need the air. I need the trees. I need nature, right? So today I went in the park, and it's so warm, and because I got this dizzy leg, I had to sit down for, halfway through my little walk, I had to sit down. So I sat down. I thought, oh, I'll do, and I'm doing this Instagram, and all these amazing quotes and posts are coming at me, and they just lifted me up, really. And I thought, oh, I'll share this with people, because I like to share, and it gets you out also of your head. If you share, it makes you go forwards as opposed to just staying in here. You share. So I did this Facebook Live, and I was blah, 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 and I got quite a few comments on that one, actually. And I find videos very therapeutic, whether it's to myself or to Facebook Live, and I share with people, because it just helps me analyze if I talk, because as I always say, I talk to my children, and they're as lovely, and as much as I adore them, I need to talk to another adult, really, sometimes, but then there are certain things you can't say to people, blah, 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 blah. And so that's why I love Facebook Live, because people who will interact with you are people who are on that wavelength. So they, you're not infringing on anyone, you're not interrupting, you're just, talking. And so I found that really, really helped me. And it's there on that little park bench that I decided, no, today I'm just going to take the time to see what's going on in my head, in my life. Can I move? Just take stock. And that I would really recommend to everyone, whether it be, maybe, well, as much as I hate to say it, arrive late for work, so that, in that little time you have, whether it's 15 minutes or maybe half an hour, you really take stock of what's going on, and then your whole day at work will be more productive. Okay. So it won't be, maybe I shouldn't say that. So we'll just have to zip that out, shall we? I know it's live, but, sometimes it's best to just take stock to best move forward. And we get to come on here to prepare for this talk, and I said to Brittany, well, we're just going to talk about this because it's really hot on my head. And then she comes up with her own story, and it's like, take it away, Brittany, your turn. Sorry.
No, it was really fitting to throw out a subject, and it was fitting for me because of how my last week was. I got really ill, and there was a few factors that played in trying to figure out why it took such a toll on me. And I figured it out. So I figured it out by doing just as Kat said, taking a step back and sitting with yourself and realizing that maybe we're off track. Maybe I'm off track a little bit in some aspects of my life. Now, there's a couple of things that kind of came up for me when Kat was sharing, and that is that when we say take a step back, like taking a step back is not backing down, and it's important to remember that. Because when we take a step back, even though we might be actually taking a couple steps back in productivity or whatever it might look like for our life, it usually will shoot us past those 2 steps. Because for myself, that we took back, because for myself it was health. Like when I get into focusing in on work or focusing on whatever it is, and I let go of the things that keep me going, which is eating healthy, not drinking too much coffee, making sure that my water intake is good, exercising, getting enough sleep. These things are really, really easy to let go of. And then we forget how well our body is supposed to actually function, because we're functioning at such a shitty level that we get used to that shitty level. And that's where I was at until I got sick from a few glasses of wine, but really sick for 4 days sick. So it wasn't the wine, it wasn't a hangover, but it took a real toll on my body. And it just taught me a lesson, about making sure that we stay focused in on what's important to move forward. So I did take a few notes that I wanted to mention when Kat was talking. The habits, Kat, you mentioned this, is when we're down and we're being defeated, or feels like we're being defeated, we tend to go back to old habits. And whether that be old habits of not eating healthy, or old habits of not getting up and meditating, or old habits of just thought and belief systems. And it's really important that if you've done the work to move past those things, it's okay to slip once in a while. Like, everybody will. But when you become aware of it, even when you're feeling down, then you're not going to be captured in that as long as it, when you go into, you allow those old thoughts to come in and you allow those old habits to take over again, then it's just more work getting out of what you're in. And blame, that was another thing she mentioned, is blaming, you know, like you start to blame yourself, or you beat yourself up. But it's also important not to blame the people or the circumstances or life around you, because as soon as you start to point fingers or you start to blame other people, that cripples you as well, and that's going to keep you in that same state longer, because you're just giving your power away. Whether it's beating up on yourself or giving someone else the credit of the circumstances, you no longer have the power to change it or to get through it. So another thing is blame. Stay away from blame. If you feel yourself feeling angry or resentful towards whatever it might be causing what's going on in your life, circumstances, life, the boss, the spouse, anything, the children, try and pull yourself out of that, because in the long run, it will give you your power back to move forward, to be solution-based or orientated, and to deal with what you're facing. Because life is never a straight line, and it never will be a straight line. So when things are thrown at you, that's just life. Those are challenges that you need to get through to learn lessons, to be better. And if you sit in that and dwell in anger or dwell in self-pity and not just realize that this is just another curve you need to take, another corner that you need to turn, then again, you're going to sit in that, I don't really know the word, that mindset or that that ditch in life, you know, that phase in life longer instead of getting through it effectively. So those were a couple things that I wrote down. It is pushing through when you're feeling down. I honestly believe taking a step back is the answer. So through everything that we've said, through this, everything, you know, when you listen, sometimes you get overwhelmed with, like, I just don't know what to do. I just want to do nothing. And so if I was to just keep it simple, taking a step back and doing what Kat always says and being kind to yourself is the answer. You know, like for myself, I was like, wow, first off, I need to lay off the frickin' coffee. Okay, yeah, I love coffee, but I need to lay off of it, because we all know that 3 or 4 coffees a day is not good for us. Our bodies cannot function on that much caffeine. And if you're used to that, I recommend cutting back, even if you're functioning fine on it, because it's going to make you fall on your face. And I'm confident in that. I am. I mean, you know, some people are like, oh no, I can drink coffee at 9 o'clock at night and I'm not tired. Okay, well, that's cool, but it's also a sign that you're addicted to caffeine. And some are okay with that, but try not drinking that coffee. I guarantee you're going to feel like absolute shit, because you're going to go through withdrawals. So that's another thing. And I mean, I'm kind of getting into like a nutrition health based conversation here, but and I'm not trying to preach, but I was at 4 coffees. Well, I shouldn't say 4 coffees a day. I would get up to about 4 coffees a day. And I'm talking coffees. We're talking coffees, you know, like a Tim Hortons large, Canadian large coffee a day. And so when I'm drinking that amount of coffee, it's not just the amount of caffeine, it's the liquid I'm not putting in place of that coffee. And that's water, just, you know, hydration. So that was a big eye opener for me. Just realizing that I had lost sight of my healthy routine, my physically healthy routine. So working out properly and eating properly. I may be putting good food in, but not enough to be demanding of my body what I was demanding of it. So if I didn't take that step back and I just laid on the couch puking, sick, and I didn't have a flu. It wasn't a bug that I know of. Maybe part of it was, I don't know, but I got very sick. It lasted 4 days. It wasn't like a bug. It was caused from neglect, from me neglecting the things that I should be taking care of, whether that be sleep or a combination of it all. It took me taking a step back and thinking, I'm responsible for this. So even though circumstances have come at me that may have been out of my control, I have the power to combat these circumstances more efficiently or effectively next time. So don't expect it to never happen when you start making better choices. Just know that when you do take a step back and take care of the things that are important, that you will be able to combat these circumstances better than when you're not, or when you're neglecting the things that are important. So I guess if I was to keep it simple, it's take a step back, don't blame, and avoid old habits and old thought patterns. And you will get through whatever's going on. And I guess, another thing that I would say, that touched on it as well, is sharing. And also another angle on that is just reaching out. Just knowing that you're not alone and you don't have to be alone. You have the internet. You have an internet connection. There are people in the world that are experiencing what you're experiencing, whether it be a little bit less worse or more worse or whatever it is, that's irrelevant. There are people that you can just talk to, whether it's us or somebody else that you're connected to. Just make sure that it's someone who is there to stand strong for you and not pull you deeper, who is also going through something and not being able to cope with it. And the resources are there for you. You just have to be willing to reach out to them. And that is a challenge all on its own. But once you push through that challenge once or twice and just share a little bit here and there, it gets easier. And you'll realize that it helps everybody. You sharing helps others. And when others help you, it helps them. That's the way we are made to work. We are made to do this together. We are not made to do life alone. And that belief is false, false, false. Even though some of us grew up with it and it's still pounded into us today through whatever outlets of society, it's false. We are not meant to be alone, and we are not meant to do this alone. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I really like that. Sorry, I something I never even thought of as a someone who rides horses. We learn very early on, because we all want to get on the horse and canter away, right? Learn very early on that when a horse is trotting too fast, the legs are going in such a motion that it can't just break into a canter. So what you have to do is to slow the horse down, so it has to trot slower, so the legs can then go like this, right? So for me, taking a step back is always just like, well, you slow down to be able to canter away, so that's, yes, obviously I always forget to say the most obvious for me. So God, thanks, Brittany. I will remember to include that all the time when I talk about this. Although I say it to the kids, you see, this earlier on, I was always talking about that to the kids, but I forget because we're adults and we should know all this. But yes, so that was the first thing. And the other thing was, it was very funny because while I was doing my Facebook Live, friend of mine who was flying from XYZ, whatever, she rang me up. And so I said, where are you calling from? Thinking, oh my God, but she was calling from France, so that's okay. She was just on her way out. And we had a really good conversation, a great laugh, because she was then telling me, oh God, you thought you were on your own, falling flat on your face. Wait till you hear my stories. And we just had a share, and it was so fun, so much fun to do that. So yeah, it does help other people share, right? So that's why, yeah, I do encourage people to do Facebook Lives, because yeah, everyone always says, oh, it takes such courage, but only the first one. Once you've done it, then it gets easier and easier. But yeah, we do always try on these webinars or hangouts, whatever, to give you, easy to follow steps. I mean, they seem like humongous steps, obviously. What do you mean, take a step back, stop and do nothing? Like, I just told you, just, be half an hour late for work, for God's sakes, what am I doing? But it's all in your best intention, obviously. I mean, I do this with, good intentions, because I think that, if you can just sort of take a step back, you know, put it all into perspective, and then you move forwards. You'll be so much more productive rather than, you know, oh, keep all this in your head and just, you know, plow on through. So always, yeah, always have that intention. Of course, Brittany, being a sports, you know, monitor or whatever it is, that certification you have, I'm sorry, I don't really know that, but, you know, Brittany will talk in, you know, in nutrition. She's a fully fledged vegan, just, you know, newly born. So she, obviously she's going to talk about that. And as an old vegetarian, and, you know, well, there was no way I could put any sort of, you know, meat molecule in my baby. So to me, that's totally something that I'm very hot about, I guess you could say. Well, I don't know, a subject I know about. Okay, it's way back there, but it's something I've always sort of kept up with. And yeah, so yeah, if we get to, we do try and keep it, you know, in simple terms, but obviously we might get carried away and go, you know, so you have to just, you know, remind us in the comments, oi, when you talked about this, what exactly did you mean? We're here to obviously, you know, help you do that, or maybe you know, help you and go, you know, looking into, Google it. Who knows?
Yeah, no, that's something, actually, something came up for me, Kat, is that when you were talking about sharing, doing Facebook Lives, you recommend Facebook Lives and everything. And when you build up all that courage to do that video, to share, make sure that you're doing it for yourself at first. You have to be doing it for yourself at first, because if you don't, the results you get from it, if you get no comments, no likes, maybe a few views or whatever, and no one's saying anything or no one's liking whatever, you're gonna base your worthiness on that. But if you're doing it for yourself, you can look back to our last week's call about just sharing your voice even if nobody's listening, because just sharing and getting it out and going on video, whether anybody's reacting, anybody's interacting, just know that the internet world is completely washed out. Like, there is so much going on now that it's not you. It's not you. It's just that your video isn't all over popping up in everybody's faces. People's attention spans are like 3 to 5 seconds right now. So is that correct? It's 3 to 5 seconds about approximately when people go to look at something, or, you know, whatever. If it doesn't catch their eye, or it doesn't, then they're gone off doing something else, looking at something else. And that's just humanity. That's not you. So I just wanted to throw in there, even if you do your first Facebook Live and nobody's there, do another one, do it for you. And eventually you'll be doing it for others. But yeah.
I think that's a wrap.
Okay, well, we will see you all next week. Thanks for watching. Mwah.
Bye.